What is good, everybody, man? Thank you guys tuning in to episode 300 of Expert Mentors Live. And what a run we've been on with these expert mentor conversations over the years. And, the two of us and the other two gentlemen that are responsible for the whole Expert Mentor series coming to be made a pretty big announcement earlier today. So pretty cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy right now. I mean, it is. I mean, the conversations, yesterday's conversations that I'm having with agents, the conversation we had yesterday on the One Big Fire podcast, which we're diving into that directly today, is the future of real estate and AI. Who wins, who dies, and how long is it going to be? And that's, I think it was fascinating we went to Chat GPT. We didn't try to lead it. We just wanted to see what it thought it looked like. And we've been having some really fun conversations, and implementations are already deep. So it's fun. Yeah, let's get to it, man.
It is, man. It is. It's it really is. And for those of you that haven't had a chance to listen to the One Big Fire, we actually did a little hour feed last night. Me and Perso kind of diving a little bit more just on the implementation side of things. We threw it into Honey Badger Nation. So if you guys are tuning in, you want to go into Honey Badger Nation, I think we had the team pin it to the top, so you can go and listen to where we unpacked the One Big Fire conversation a little bit more yesterday, in kind of getting operationally kind of where we're at, where it needs to improve to be able to really hedge. And I think not trying to implement all at once. And that's where we've tend to see ourselves and others get in trouble when the whole reminder, like you typically don't starve to death. It's usually, we're trying to consume and do too much. And had just kind of obviously with all the, stuff that Hermosi's pulled off in the last few weeks, and just kind of listening to his take and how we operate, obviously with a lot of time that we got to spend with Vern and his number one book recommendation and understanding theory of constraints, and listening to Hermosi. And when you get down to, really it's priority, not priorities, down to the history of the word. And he said, listen, priority is singular. What is the singular priority? And, we have the roadmap, and we're moving through where the constraint is and implementation one at a time. And he just a great reminder, especially for real estate agents. If you have priorities, you are the bottleneck. And it's just, God dang, how many times do we have to learn that lesson over and over and over again? So you're looking at, okay, and we talked on the bell curve of implementation, right? You have the early adopters. You have the, however the front of the bell curve goes, there's about 50%. And, already the adoption in things with AI, and a lot of the conversation we talked about, surviving the AI revolution and shift and into the industry. Cause you and we've been talking for the last several months. What about the AI consumer? What about the AI consumer? So we unpacked all of that yesterday. I think I had over two hours of conversations just on these things. So being able to dive into kind of the first thing that we can focus on that you have to have implemented. And I will just talk about, the case for the AI centered brokerage, which we talked about yesterday on One Big Fire. And basically the biggest opportunities is lead conversion, because that's the immediate ROI, and the recruiting at scale and the consumer experience moat are the exponential ROI in the long-term play. Today, we're definitely gonna get into the immediate ROI, because a lot of agents, they need that immediate ROI right now.
Yeah.
As we're gearing up for the holidays, gearing up for the winter, and obviously that kickstart into the first of the year. And how we wrapped up One Big Fire was really the difference in between the AI driven consumer and the AI driven agent. And the number one thing that it said, and we'll get right into it, is that what agents must do right now to survive, being good with people won't cut it anymore. So stay relevant. Number one is adopt AI as your personal leverage. Stop wasting time on lead follow-up, drip campaigns, and paperwork. If you aren't running an ISA plus AI marketing co-pilot today, you're already behind.
Yep.
And so let's dive in there, because I think, if you're checking the box off, not saying everything moves in a linear path, but if we were moving in a linear path, we would want this implemented first, and not over here, not over here, but like dialed in.
Yeah, there's a million ways to take this conversation. But the thing that is the most predictable and consistent is customer acquisition in any business. It is the thing that you have to master. And it goes back to Jay Abraham's, 3 ways to grow a business. And you look at, okay, where are the biggest inefficiencies in the business? And if you generate, and going back again to your book, I've been talking about this book every day, it feels like, for the last 6 months. But it's like, where is the biggest bottleneck in the business right now? For most agents, it's they don't have leads. So how do we leverage AI to identify the sweet spot in the market? Who are the real buyers and sellers today? How do I reach them? What do I say to them? What is the message to the market? What are their hopes, fears, desires, concerns? This is what was really hard to do before. And so most people just think, I want leads. Oh, no, it's not just getting leads. Like, that's an aspect of it, but it's understanding your core target market and who the real buyers and sellers are before you get leads. And so you can talk to them differently through marketing. And so that it's a huge hinge that swings the big door in terms of efficiency, in terms of the generating of the lead, and knowing who you're really targeting. Because you can know right now in ChatGPT, the people that are buying today are 40% of them have a home to sell, and they're moving here for these reasons, and this is their hopes, fears, desires, concerns. You can create content, put it into a follow-up sequence for that lead that's the most likely person to buy that particular home in that ad, and speak directly to the people that are actually going to buy something. And that is something we've never been able to do before. We guessed. And so that's a fascinating efficiency. That's where we jumped in at the beginning. Just as a marketer, understanding that I could get information like that and use that to help agents generate better quality leads and sift through the 100 that aren't going to all buy and find those, that tuning for who is most likely to buy. And let's talk to them and talk to their hopes, fears, desires, concerns, position you as the expert. That is fundamentally the first step. But the biggest inefficiency in that, John, as you know, is, if you get 100 leads, about 20 of them, if you actually call them, you might talk to 20. Mm-hmm. So that means that 80 don't even know who you are. 30 minutes later, they don't even remember filling out a form. And that goes into the black hole of automated generic bullshit follow-up that does nothing. Mm-hmm. And so now the things that you can do to instantly have a phone call that goes out with some, with AI, the automations, a text, an email, all that kind of stuff was that, that's going to look so old school to us in the future. But your follow-up campaigns, being able to customize it to who that person is and what their hopes, fears, desires are. And, when you do have contact with them and you've got a phone number and you got an email, now it'll go do all the research on who is this person? What are they about? What are their hobbies? What do they like to do? What are they not? All these things, lifestyle-wise. Now you can curate an experience for them based upon all this real information that you didn't have to ask and awkwardly try to get, but you can communicate to them in a way that's just like I go into ChatGPT and I give it all of my personality tests, and it talks to me different now. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's like, oh, you a real pain in the ass. So I'm just going to tell you what you want. You don't want me to sugarcoat shit. So like it gives it to me and gives, breakdowns the way I like to see them. And so we can now create a customer. And this goes back, John, to creating a better customer experience, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just about creating efficiencies in the agent's business, which are vast inefficiencies, but it's about curating a better customer experience and then, garnering the lifetime value of a customer.
Yes.
Is going to be where the agent wins. But yeah, so you pulled my chain.
It's the juggle of the now and making sure the now is in alignment with the future. And the future is that long term. It's, so lifetime value, right? What is the lifetime value? The two metrics: what does it cost you to acquire to get that opportunity? And then what is the lifetime value, and what is the return on the acquisition for it? But you got to curate that experience for the lifetime value to be really there. And, there's going to be so many things that get unlocked the more you know about them, and being able to curate that personal experience for them. And, is anybody doing that right now? Are there any tools out there right now that are already coming up with some, helping kind of curate, personalize that experience as soon as possible?
Nothing I've seen. I've seen a lot. I mean, I've got somebody every week I'm on a Zoom with that's showing me, I built this AI thing. They upload it with a bunch of objection handling and make it, more efficient. It's going to make, and it's not that expensive to build, but it's not cheap to build either. But they're all coming in hot with this. Like, we know that this is going to give you a 2 to 3x ROI. So we want to sell it to you for 1,000 or 500 or 1,000 or, whatever. And so that's all going to come down, but you will have to have one. And, but nobody's gotten this deep. Like, I don't consider myself the smartest guy, but I think we're going deeper than most people are in terms of how to utilize this. And so, yeah, I don't know of anybody that's doing it. If anybody's watching that knows somebody that's doing this at that level of curating the experience based upon what AI can find out about that customer, even before you've ever spoke to them or after you spoke to them, then I would love to hear what who that company is, because we gonna build this stuff. This is the fun. This is the fun stuff, right?
It is. It's about, that personalized, and we can do it. I talk to agents every day. Talk to an absolute rock star this morning, and she's like, the thing that the riddle we have to solve for if we're going to continue to scale is the I only want to work with you, scenario, because I've curated an experience in my past with these people that are now referring, and especially on the high end luxury side of things, right? Like, I've curated this experience for them, and like, they don't want anything else. They want me. And so it's easy to unravel, to not even ravel that up with going into a new experience. But when you have past clientele that absolutely love you, refer you a ton of business, how do you continue to still curate that, that type of experience is definitely something to consider and think about. But I loved what you said earlier, right? Because it was just about get all the leads, but it's also, what are the best leads? Get a better avatar, right? And what is, their problem, and then how are you uniquely gifted to help them solve that problem? Is where the thought process has to go. So kind of talk us through, kind of identifying in the marketplace what the real avatar is. And, we're constantly always asking ourselves this, right? Like, where is the opportunity? Where is the avatar? Like, who's buying, who's selling in this market? And, who's the agent that's built for this market, right? Like, what's their DNA makeup need to be, right? Like, what's their working genius? What's their disc profile? Like, what past attributes, what things must they possess to be able to really be, out at the forefront of this? I mean, there's got to be in a level of gratitude. There's also got to be a level of hunger. I don't know if you saw, Lencioni obviously has the working genius assessment, and he just rolled out the ideal team player assessment, the hungry, humble, smart. But there's an assessment now that you can have them take.
Is that the working genius did?
So we have working genius, right? Where I did, the widget and kind of where you're 30,000 foot all the way to on the ground. And that's just an understanding of energy levels and what you're great at, and really how to build the team around you, but also how to communicate with everybody. But, the ideal team player, he used to just give you interview questions. Here's the questions: find out if they're hungry, find out if they're humble, find out if they're smart. But he's created an assessment. I haven't taken it yet, but he's created that assessment. And I even had somebody on Diary of a CEO podcast. They're creating a culture assessment to be able to give to, identify what is your culture, what's the culture you want to create, give this to candidates in your team. So I'm
Dude,
curious to see that as well.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to do all that before I even interview.
Yes.
So that's it goes so deep, bro. Like there's so many ways to leverage it to get things right. And I just think most people are not, and we discussed this yesterday, and go push back a little bit. Not everyone, is going to be aliens like us and think like this. So the opportunity is in leveraging this to create experiences for us as agents that want to come grow their business, and they're sitting in an office going, I'm just trying to figure it out. And, you want me to come over to EXP so I can come over there and try to figure it out? That's what it feels like. Nobody wants to change brokerages because it doesn't actually solve a problem. We have to be the ones creating these things. That's why our recruiting offer is leverage my $50,000 a month marketing and implementation team to double your business in 12 months, is because I'm building this stuff. And so I know what challenges you have. You don't have to understand all this, but when I say it to you, it always makes sense. You're like, yeah, that would make sense. Well, yeah, for sure. Okay, I'll come over. So like the reason I'm going to be able to recruit more agents is because I'm using this to build the better, more efficient things that you're not thinking about as a marketer. And most people don't have the life experiences to know any of this stuff. But the ones that are out here on the front bleeding edge are going to build systems and processes that make everything more efficient for you. For teams, the hardest hire in the world to make was the ISA. We'll be able to solve that problem before you ever even do an interview. The way we used to do it before, remember all the integrations we built into Infusionsoft, the tests, all the things that, that had to happen, and they had to pass all these things before they would even make it to an interview. That shit was so hard and complex to build. But now it's just going to be a workflow that's built into Go High Level, and it's going to do all that for you. And you're going to have everything that you don't even need to know it did it, but it's going to be like, oh my God, this is the best person I've ever could have interviewed. Yeah. And that's the kind of solutions. Well, actually, it's not going to be ISAs because we already replaced them with AI. But yeah, so yeah, dude, it's this is making me not sleep. And I don't really like sleeping anyway, but like we're sitting at a time in history where you can dream up anything and do it. And it's we're going to help a lot of people, but that's who's going to win, is the people that think that way.
Yeah, it is. I think it's, what are all the ways, and we were talking a little bit last night, the mental model, the thinking side of things. And it's just asking that better question. And I think what we were talking about, and I wrote it down from last night, was instead of asking, it's essentially, you default to how can AI help me work through this, right? It's not like, it's the who concept, right? The mental model of who can help me. It's not, how do I do it? It's like, who can help me do this? But then it's like, okay, how can AI help me? So it's just adding a new mental model into the way you think and process as you're working through constraints and working through ideas, and you're working through, what you're trying to accomplish. But I think obviously kind of where the agents are at and where it all starts. And have you gone through Hardy's new book? Have you gone through The Science of Scaling?
I have. I think I ordered. No, I've got it on Audible. I have not. I've listened to the podcast.
Yeah. So listening to him kind of break that down, and why it's so important to always keep coming back to the goal. Yeah. Because we know there's so many different ways to get to the goal, and I can start putting in the infrastructure and the systems and the plumbing and the frameworks and all of that. But if it's geared towards the wrong goal, it's the whole concept of the ladder's on the wrong wall. And that happens so many freaking times. But now you have the beauty of being able to sit down and creatively start thinking through what it is that I want to accomplish. Like, let's talk through this, ChatGPT. I want you to ask me, 10 questions to help me uncover my big goals and my vision. Ask me one question at a time, and let's go. Right? Things that used to take weeks and months, and traveling across the country to sit in a room with people to help you, pull this out of you. You can do sitting with a glass of wine and just being creative and talking through. But the big thing I think too, as we're talking about us on the front end of the bell curve with this and the way we're thinking about it and the way we're utilizing it, to build a bigger future. But it has to start with, what is dang goal? What do I want this to look like? Because then we can build it from there. But in the Science of Scaling book, man, he gives one of the best examples that I've heard. And it was about Tom Brady. And what he was talking about was like, listen, all quarterbacks are different. They all have different personalities. They have different egos. They have different goals. They have, like, some of them obviously they want to win. They want to be competitive, but some want to make the Hall of Fame. Some want to chase statistics. Some want the biggest paydays, right? They're all a little bit different. But he said, when you set the goal, then the behavior follows. And he said, Brady left so much money on the table because that wasn't Brady's goal. Brady's goal was Super Bowls and to play and win as many Super Bowls as he could. So what did that mean? Well, that meant that he had to have a world-class offensive line. And he also knew that he had to have a world-class backup line, because if one of their key offensive lineman goes out, that could be the season. And they needed a backup to step in. So that meant he had to leave money on the table. He couldn't suck all the money out of the organization. Because he had to leave money in there for them to go get just a world-class backup line.
Right.
And then the other thing is that I got to keep playing this game as long as I can. I mean, the dude was 43 years old. He was the best quarterback in the NFL at 43. And so, I mean, obviously his fitness, the dude could start for over half of the NFL teams today, right? Like he could suit up and start for a majority of the NFL teams right now. What is he, 47, 48? So just remarkable when you understand what has to happen, who do you have to become, and the decisions you have to make based upon whatever that goal is. And so going back to what's the business you want, what's the opportunity, who do you want to serve? And it's just, even to the headline here, find the motivated buyers and sellers, right? Like, who is the real opportunities, and how many of those real opportunities do you need to hit your goals?
Right. No doubt. I think most agents right now have a few fears, right? Like that, they're paralyzed with what to do. And it's, how do I remain relevant or not lose relevance because of AI? What about commission pressure and margin pressure in your model, especially if you have a team or brokerage? How do I get my time back at some point? Like, how do I get free? And so, I think that's, if we can give the tools to the agents to make them efficient without them having to solve all these problems themselves. Like, for instance, every agent I get on a call with, it's almost everyone, and they're doing 20 deals. The one we just recruited right before I jumped on the call. Great story. Great example. Doing 20 transactions, been in the business 6 years, all of it repeat referral sphere, knows that she's got to do something in marketing to get to the next level. Doesn't know where to go. Like, doesn't know what to do, watching tons of videos, sales pitches from everybody trying to sell something. Like, the way that a brokerage is going to win, or an organization within EXP like us is going to win, is by solving that problem for them without them having to become an expert on AI and build stuff and all that kind of stuff. And so that's the safe haven. How do we keep you relevant by, and again, even though she has 20 people in her, and deals a year coming from repeat and referral, what is her system for follow-up? What is her system for staying personally relevant with those folks, staying in front of them? That usually isn't in place. So, your CRM isn't going out, finding out everything about those people, even the things you don't even know, and creating a customized experience to stay in touch, add value, create offers for things that they might need in year 1, year 3, year 5 after they buy the house. That like it can be all customized to each individual person. Every person in your database is now more valuable than they've ever been, and you can create more value for them than you ever could have. We go on to goes back to that whole, we closed the transaction. It represented 4% of the lifetime value of that customer. What can you do for that person's whole entire home ownership experience that makes them a raving fan and refer you someone every year? And I would be willing to bet most people aren't doing that, and they're not even thinking about it yet.
No.
That needs to be plugged in instantly and go through that, get that list of your people. Let's run it through this. Let's build the customized plan. Like all of that is easy to do now. And so it's crazy. Now every relationship, we'll be able to map it back to a, repeat referral ratio of your database. Like, things that we tried to do in the past that required a lot of effort, but will be much easier. But if there, most of these brokerages out there today, they're not thinking about doing this. There's people that are thinking about it that get it, but they're all trying to sell you a tool, and that's they're thinking there's a tech play in this. And I just don't think there is. I think that it's going to be the people that do it, just like Dwayne Legate used to say with, how do we do it and not try to ding the agent's credit card, for it. And that's the way I'm looking at everything is like, I don't want to charge you anything. I make plenty of money. Let me just help you. And let me just plug this in play. Let's take care of all the pillars of your business that are traditionally a part of every agent's business. Let's optimize the shit out of each one of them step by step by step so that you can go do what it is that you are the best at, which is helping people. But let's let you make it so much better than it's ever been. I don't know. I feel like I'm talking in circles there, but like that's what it's my wheels are just turning, man. Like,
yeah. And I think, you gotta, are you the individual that wants to know how the sausage is made? Or are you the individual that just wants the sausage? And I think that's, where you are, but it's like, okay, well, what type of sausage do you want? I think is the question that a lot of folks need to, because they just get out of desperation and try to help everybody. And it's like, listen, that's not where you're going to get, the most traction, the most rhythm. And it's like one avatar, one platform, one offer. Like, what is that? I mean, obviously on a local scale, we got to do a bunch of different things, right? To amplify our message. But it's like, if I had to focus on one, what would that be? And, there's always an opportunity. So talking to agents right now, like you're like, listen, like we need to have, we're going to have a couple different pillars, but if you're going to have, what are you leading with? What is your message to the market? And, how should they go about figuring that out, utilizing AI to know what is my best opportunity and what needs to be my offer to that opportunity.
Yeah, that part we do for you, right? So like that's where we're at. Like it's customer acquisition at predictable and consistent at the lowest cost that results in the fastest transaction to close. I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast the other day, but like when I went to solve how do I get an agent to join me at EXP and close a transaction the fastest way possible? Keep in mind, I was solving that problem with the level of intensity that no one has ever had to solve it. Like I had never had to try. Like I want to make every agent that joined our team successful. So I did a whole lot of things to try to do that. But if an agent isn't selling a property and I dropped below 40, any one agent could be worth $135,000 a month to me in terms of the levels if I drop below one. And so we went to work on, okay, what do you got to do for the agent that makes sure that they close the deal as quickly as possible? And we found as Herbie's little ass was, he showed up in a whole lot of spots. Like right out of the gate, you sign up for your CRM and you got to do your A2P. I didn't know if they wanted my phone number for our cell phone number, if I needed to pick a fucking random number. I didn't know what the hell to do. I said, agents are going to get stuck here. We got to do it for them. Like, and it's, you got to go through and try to uncover every bottleneck that they're going to encounter and then remove those bottlenecks so that you get someone to a closed transaction in 30 days. And if you're trying and you feel like if I can do this for every agent, it's worth $135,000 a month to me. That's not how I ever looked at it before, right? Like I was looking at it like, okay, well that agent sells another house and I make $2,500, right? And so that's where we started, is because the majority of the 1.6 million real estate agents right now, if you ask them, they will tell you, I know, because I've done bazillion calls, is I get a lot of repeat referral and for my sphere, but it's not enough and it's not predictable and I don't know where it's happening. I know I should be doing something. I've tried this, I've spent money on that, and I've tried that, and it didn't work. All things where you gave control to someone else, portals, Zillow, Realtor.com, Real Geeks, all these different types of things, not at all customized in the approach of lead generation or understanding who the core customer is that's going to buy in that market. When we did this in Frisco, it was, people from Carrollton and the Colony wanting to put their kids in Frisco school district. The reason they have a set of hopes, fears, desires, concerns. They're a dual income family. Their kids are this age and this age. Like when you know all that, and now you can create content and push it right in front of them because you generated a lead for $3. The one that is that avatar, the 3 things you should know before you ever put your kids in the Frisco school district. Mm-hmm. That's a tuning fork. Bing. They're going to be like, oh my God, that's for me. What happens in that moment is rapport, trust. Like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what we're trying to do. That to me, it's the easiest place to start is efficiency of quality leads that result in deals the fastest. I was already working on it. I just got to be able to do it at a much faster scale and solve that problem for more people at scale faster. And so then it's on the rest of that is like, okay, how do we know the metrics. If you call the leads, you're going to get a hold of 20 to 30 of them if you do a good job out of 100. So now we have a mechanism in place to try to bubble up the rest of them and find the ones, sift and sort and find the ones that are. I think we can continue to iterate on getting more, squeezing more out of that $300 ad spend. But according to ChatGPT, it's a 2 to 3x return on their ad spend. Just this one thing. So you could spend $300, sell a house every 60 days, or you could sell 1 a month, or you could sell 2 a month. Like that one thing could be. I mean, think about it. Average commissions, what, 15 grand? That's 30 grand a month. You're talking about. There's $300,000 to $500,000 a month on the table for every real estate agent right now by solving that one thing with about $300 a month.
Yeah.
What else if money is your problem or consistency is your problem, you can try to convince me that we should go to your database and see if we can shake the trees and make something come out of it. But I can't do it again next month. So
you burn it, right? You can only have that shake that tree off for a couple times a year, right? So, but then you still constantly got to be adding, contacts into the database. So most agents, I think, answer the question. Most agents don't want to know how the sausage is made. They just want the freaking sausage. And so, I think it is from an agent's perspective, what can they do on their end to be best prepared and knowing, where the opportunity is. Okay. I agree with you. I mean, you got to have some form to be able to get better qualified opportunities on a consistent basis. As long as you're willing to work those opportunities. But like we talked about yesterday, I mean, you ain't making, it's the AFAs are just interested. That's it. AFAs are just interested. They're going.
I was shocked. And spoiler alert, we were getting, let's give them the numbers, right? So, I don't know where it is in my document. It's a long this is a long ChatGPT trail, by the way. But the prediction was, what you have it pulled up? How many agents over the period of time?
Yeah. So what it is looking like is
next to, let's see.
Currently 1.6 million agents. This is the assumption, right? Is going off of 1.6. Oversaturated, many part-time, low production. In the next 5 years, expect a 20 to 30% washout. Agents who don't adapt get replaced by AI plus fewer, stronger agents. 10 years could see the total crawl under 1 million. But those left are AI augmented power agents.
I was so shocked by this.
Yeah.
I thought we'd get rid of a bunch of agents. It's not that much.
And agent productivity goes up 1 to 3 deals per year to 8 to 12, and then double again.
By the way, that's I'm on a different part of this, but it's a 2 to 3x average increase in production for the tier of agents that are AI enabled.
Mm-hmm.
That's significant.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's got to stop right here, right? The early adopters dominate. AI, ISAs, and marketing co-pilots outperform 2 to 3x. And that gets out ahead of the 3 to 5 year where the consumer apps hit mainstream. And that could be probably faster than later. And then the buyer sellers start experiencing AI experiences like what we were talking about, right? Concierge, instant answers, curated searches. Agents without it look, the word that we were looking for yesterday, primitive. And then that 5 to 10 year run is default consumer entry point. And agents who remain relevant are the consultants, negotiators, and local influencers, not door openers. So I thought that was really freaking good.
Not door openers. Yep.
Yeah. No space allowed for that. So consultative approach, right? What are you trying to accomplish?
The other interesting thing is that, okay, well, so in 2 to 3 years, it's little shrinkage on the one. And I went deeper. I can't remember if it was before or after we were on the call, but 1.5 million. We see the increase in production per agent. So everything right now, the landscape looks really good for agents that adopt AI.
Right.
5 years from now, what does it look like? Agent count drops 20 to 30% between 2028 and 2030 to 1.1 to 1.2 million. Those are going to be the interested. Like, they're interested, but they're not committed. That's going to be the bulk of the low producing agents that do less than 3 to 5 deals, I would say.
Yep.
And so the winners agents position as trusted advisors plus negotiators, like you said earlier, plus wealth consultants with AI concierge tools for their clients. And that's, customized and branded experience from you as the agent brand, assuming that one of these companies doesn't come along and curate and create that from a company branded perspective. And if I was to guess which company might be trying to do that, it would be Compass. And what are they going to do? It's the same thing's going to happen with Teams. At Compass, they're trying to come out. They're trying to stop playing nice with us. They're trying to control their own little environment and sell everything in house. What do you think they're going to do to commissions with agents that are there? If they're able to do that, they're going to, if they implemented this, they're going to go back and be like, yeah, we're putting y'all on a 50-50 split because we're the ones that are doing everything.
We're doing everything. We control the consumer, their experience. We're curating their experience. We're providing all the options.
Could become, think about this, John, the only reason that real estate, me and you know this, and we've said it a million times. I don't know how many people pay attention to when we say things, but the only reason that the brand doesn't matter in real estate is because the consumer experience is managed by the agent. Meaning if you do a good job, they come back to you. It doesn't matter if you got balloons on your sign, giraffes on your sign, or clowns on your sign. They come back to you if you create a great experience. We all know this, but that's why the brand never mattered. It didn't matter. People don't even know you got what company you're at half the time. We all think that in the beginning that matters. It doesn't. But there is a real possibility that one of these companies or a new incumbent is going to come in and be the brand experience and implement this and put an agent for what an agent's worth on the back end of the relationship. And they're going to take a much higher split and they'll be able to gain and acquire customers without an agent's help. And so that right now, the agent does all that. So for the agent to serve the agents that do the same thing, which will be, I think the majority of the best ones are all going to do that. What happens when you have we generate all these leads, we spend all this money, you're giving all this money to Zillow. That's going to go away, by the way. If you don't think Zillow is going to have the first AI agent in place and they're going to they're already at 42.5%. They're about to pull that in-house and have their own brokerage again. They're about to be our competitors again. You can bet your ass on that. Think about how many hundreds of millions of dollars Zillow spent putting a call center in place because agents wouldn't call leads. And then what they say, God dang, the best thing you can do is just give it to the best agent. The best agent is now AI. Now, okay, what is Zillow going to do with their leads? They're going to give them to you and take 42%, maybe 50, maybe they'll give us 60. I don't know. Now, well, let's just take that in-house and we'll keep all the money and we'll salary an agent. You know, that'll be coming. I guarantee you that's coming. And so it's interesting. It's interesting to see the landscape. But you know, shoot.
Well, I mean, the interesting thought question is, you know, how do you put EXP out of business? And
that's how you do it.
And you think about it for a second and you go, okay, well, EXP's more platform to support the agent. Whereas a Compass takes the approach, we're going to dominate the experience and own it through AI and becomes the brand and not dependent upon the agents. Interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting, you know.
I'll run that through ChatGPT when we get off this call because I just believe that Compass will do it. And, you know, they've already made some ballsy moves. I don't think they saw this much, you know, they made those moves before this was even starting to materialize. So they didn't see the future, I don't think. But how many agents are going to leave Compass? You know, because the agents own the relationships and they adopt technology. If Compass gives them that, if EXP gives us that branded to us, which is what I know that EXP would do, because that's what Glenn's vision is, what's best for the agent. He's going to arm us with the right tools to create that experience and create that customized experience for the agent, for the consumer, not try to be EXP as the brand. I'm not so sure what Compass is going to do.
Yeah, it's you know, it's one of those questions, right? Like, you know, the Andy Grove, you know, only the paranoid survive, right? New CEO comes in. What do they do, right? You know, you know, if we were a competitor of ours, how would we outperform? How would we put us out of business, right? Those are the thought questions that I'm sure, you know, the Glens and the Leos and the Kindles are thinking about, because you always have to be thinking, you know, where are my blind spots? How can we get disrupted? How can we get upended? And I think that just helps you strategically make better decisions and moves, navigating, you know, as fast as the future is coming.
You know, 10 years down the road, AI, you know, ChatGPT's prediction is agent count falls below 1 million. So 50 to 60% drop in agent count. Per agent production doubles again. Super agents with AI run billion-dollar books of business. Consumer expectation, AI concierge is the default. Agents equal overlay of trust plus local nuance. Winners. The winners will be local celebrities, celebrity agents, leaders owning consumer AI platforms, org builders, people who build organizations. The losers, the long tail of part-time, low-skill agents. It's what we've been saying since 2010.
Yep. Because it's fascinating, man. Such good stuff. And I think, you know, being able to help people navigate through this and make sure they're not sitting up on the sidelines. They're getting in the arena. They're staying informed. They are making, you know, the best possible moves. But it takes folks like us to help them make the best decisions and help them navigate that. There are some that want to know how the sausage is made, and they're out at the, you know, the forefront, you know, hear what we're doing. But there's also a lot that just be like, give me the sausage, tell me where I need to navigate, and I'm good. Let's go.
The thing that I think my biggest takeaway, and we can wrap up on this, is that ChatGPT isn't saying that the agents will be replaced. And I think that's really interesting, because it could have gone that direction and said, yeah, for sure, this is going to go this direction and agents are going to get replaced.
Yeah.
But even ChatGPT is saying it's a small, you know, we're starting to weed out the weak, the ones that shouldn't be in the business anyways. And agent productivity is going to go up for the ones that provide an amazing experience for their customers. And the thing that I know about every real estate agent that I've ever met is they care about their customers and they want to provide the best experience. And now they're going to be able to provide a much better world-class experience for their clients by leveraging AI to do a lot of the heavy lifting and figuring out of all of this stuff that they should be doing that they could never do on their own without it. And so,
100%.
it's going to be fun, man. I'm excited, dude. We're at the very beginning of some people are going to make a lot of money and become the number one agent in their marketplace and own it for another decade instead of, oh no, I'm going to be out of business and out of a job. And I think agents can put that aside. You need to adopt AI. You need to get in and start using it in your business and implement it to make systems and processes more efficient. Look for inefficiencies in your business. Go to ChatGPT, ask how you should solve it. Should you do this? Should you do that? And more importantly, get around people that can provide these tools to you. And that would be us.
Agree. Cuz, appreciate you. And you guys out there, get plugged in and don't keep your head in the sand, and stay plugged in, stay engaged, and keep doing Honey Badger stuff.
Appreciate you.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate you. Later.